Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Mary Salee, and I'm super excited to be here on this webinar for you today. Um, I know that you are here because you are looking for some answers, and for whatever situation you have going on in your life right now. And it's definitely my pleasure to play such an important role in your life right now to offer you the solution to what you've been looking for. And it took me 10 years to realize that I had to do something in my life to make changes. It took me 10 years to recognize that. And that is why I put this together for you, because I don't want 10 years for you to go by before you are able to realize that the only way things are going to be different for you is if you recognize that you need to start making changes. So why are you here? Something in the ad reached out to you. Maybe you're sick of your job, but you're clueless to, to even trying to begin to figure out what you need to do about that. You know you'd rather be doing something else, but pardon my French, but you're completely scared to make that leap and change careers. Maybe your marriage is on the rocks, and if you're really honest with yourself, you know that many times you've thought a divorce sounds nice because you are at the end of your rope, you're frustrated, you're angry, and you just want a way out to have some peace in your life. And that's okay, but deep down you know that's not what you really want. You've noticed that your sex life doesn't exist, or when it does, it kind of sucks. And you're left wondering, where did the passion and fireworks go? And guys, we're all adults here, so there's no need to be shy. We've had sex before. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing to enjoy and to have be a part of your life, and there's no shame in that. And the truth is, um, even though we don't speak about it, we know that this is a part of our life that we would love to be able to enjoy. And it's okay to admit that and want to resolve that issue, so to speak. Maybe you're here because you're just flat out stuck. I mean, you're feeling like your life is a broken record and you're not making any progress and you've just flat out plateaued and you're wandering around aimlessly, no direction to go. Maybe you're in a situation where your children are exhausting you, and sometimes you have that little phrase in your head where you just keep thinking to yourself, yeah, this is not what I signed up for. Because we, the people on this webinar, including myself, that have children, know that we had this vision of the concept of family and children in our lives, of what we wanted to create in our relationship. And I'm guessing that your vision went down a little like my vision, and that is, you see happy children and you're happy and we have smiling faces and we're playing together and there's laughter and we're learning and growing and creating a beautiful experience. But then you turn around and you're looking at what you actually have going on in your life, and um, it's anything but that. Screaming, yelling, fighting, tormenting. You feel like a referee, not a parent, or maybe you're just like exhausted because you have a combative child that is really hard to negotiate or argue with, so to speak, okay? And you find yourself in these moments where you're like, yeah, that's not what I signed up for. Totally understandable. Maybe you are completely overwhelmed, and um, this overwhelm basically, your life is so hectic that you can't even begin to find clarity, let alone be able to establish any kind of clarity so that you can even begin to make decisions and implement those decisions. Okay, so there's so much chaos around you that you just feel like you're stuck in this whirlwind tornado spiral and you have no idea how to find your way out of it. So basically, you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and maybe you've even tried everything, and to no avail, you're not having any success. But that's okay because you are here on this webinar today to change your current situation. And that is the core of it, being able to create the change. Okay, we all talk about change. Everybody always says, oh, you can't repeat the same things over and over again and expect to get different results. But yet, that's what many of us do. And that is simply because so many of us just don't know how to create that change or even begin to implement what we need to do to actually make those changes happen. So that is why you're here today. That is what we're going to cover today. Okay, we're going to cover how to create the change that you need so that you can merge this gap of where you are now and where you want to be. And I'm going to teach you the 4-step strategy that I personally use. And yes, I do personally do this all the time now. And that is why I'm sharing it with you. Because remember, I told you in the very beginning of this webinar that it took me 10 years, over 10 years to get to this point. And when I looked back, and I think I'm getting ahead of myself here. But basically, I'm not going to tell you guys to do something and then not follow my own advice, okay? But before I teach you this strategy, which I already began to briefly speak about how this company got started and how it developed, we're going to cover that. So my name is Mary Salee, as we've mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who I am and how we got started, okay? As you see, I'm the founder of Total Body Awareness, Unique Life Coaching and Wellness Center. And this all got started because of that juncture in my life where I was finally starting to make major progress. And I looked back over the last 10 years and wondered why it took me so long to get to this point. and what pieces were missing. And if I were to figure out what the missing pieces were and fix that, would be able to close those gaps so much sooner. I wanted a way to teach people that they didn't have to go through the same things that I went through, that it wasn't going to have to take 10 years for you to make these changes. So when I went over the last 10 years, I noticed that there were 3 main components that when you work with them all separately, you eventually will get to where you're going to go, but you would be able to get there much quicker if you were able to integrate these 3 parts and work on them all together. So I developed this integrated approach combining life coaching and wellness with these 3 main components being the foundation for the entire company, all designed to get you maximum results. And the first component being strategy. Okay. Have you ever heard the 80-20 rule? Okay, it's where people will say that 20% of your actions actually get you the result that you want. Okay, so 80% of the things that people are doing that they think is getting them towards their goal is actually not. Okay, only 20% of what they're doing is actually going to directly impact reaching their goal. Okay, so when it comes to strategy, to really make things work, you need a roadmap with an exact direction to reach your goal in the most efficient and effective way possible. So absolutely, without having strategy in place, the likelihood that you're going to be able to create what you want is very slim to none. And if you are able to do that, kudos for you. But I guarantee you that it was probably a long, winding, crazy path to get there. Okay. The second piece is what I like to refer to as the metaphysical. And that's simply the abstract part, the things that we can't see that are an integrated part of us reaching our goals, okay? Things like our belief systems. Have you heard of the law of attraction? Have you heard of people saying that they've gone through shifts in their thinking, okay, the mind shifts, or energy, okay, being able to understand, energy, positive energy, negative energy, what effects do they have on you and your life, okay? Those pieces of reaching your goal separately, people get wrapped up into the visions and the believing, and they forget that you have to have strategy. You have to have an action plan to make those visions work, to become a reality. You literally cannot sit in your garden and meditate until the weeds go away. They're not going to go away just because you're thinking about them going away, okay? They're only going to go away if you start pulling them out, okay? So you have to be able to have a strategy in place and be able to tap into your energy and understand your purpose and how all of those affect each other in order to truly get to the result that you want. And here is the third part that plays a key role. A lot of people do know that you need to have the belief in place and you also need to have the strategy in place, but I believe that you also need to have wellness in place too. And that's just because for me personally, and then I saw this in my son as well, and I wondered how many people were having the same kind of struggles that I was having, and how much that going through these illnesses were impacting their lives in such a way that it was interfering with them implementing their strategy and creating their visions. Because I know for myself personally, dealing with ADD and dealing with the extreme cases of PMS, hormonal imbalance, was crippling for me to make progress towards my goals and dreams. Okay, I knew a long time ago at the beginning of my 10-year journey that I wanted to be successful. I wanted a certain type of life for my family. I wanted a certain type of relationship for myself. I wanted all of these things. But I was not able to get those things until I, number one, had a strategy in order to do that. Number two, was able to tap into my own beliefs and discover my true purpose for myself and discover clarity in what type of relationship I wanted to have, clarity in my children and how I wanted to raise them. And the last piece that things simply just did not begin to come together for me was not until I was able to discover these illnesses and cope with them, do the things that my body needed to do so that it was no longer taking energy from me and focus from me, and I was able to make the most results, the best results, when I did all three. And that is how the company was born. And you know, it's been a really awesome journey because this is what it has allowed me to do, okay? Not just the company, but implementing this 4-step strategy that I'm going to show you guys today. It completely opened my mind and my eyes to doing so much. The endless boundaries, okay? No boundaries, limitless, of the activities that have crossed my mind that I wanted to do. Rock climbing is something, that's my son right there, and those are my two boys on the side there in those pictures, my oldest and my youngest. They are 4 and 6 now, but rock climbing is something that we do together all the time, and we have a blast and absolutely love it. And here is all 4 of us together, my new partner and soulmate, love of my life, and my 2 boys there. And I cannot even express how grateful I am that I've been blessed to have this. And it's because of the three components that I built this company on, and because of this four-step strategy that we are going to go ahead and cover now. Okay? Number one, know yourself. Self-awareness. Okay? So remember, just briefly moments ago, we discussed the metaphysical being a key element of success. Well, this is how that comes together, okay? It's your self-awareness. Self-awareness is like a radar, okay? Your own personal little radar. It lets you know what's going on inside of you. It lets you know your thoughts, your gut feeling, your instinct, your heart, your visions, your dreams, the little conversations that you have with yourself inside of your head, what you dream about when you go to bed at night, what's laying in your subconscious, your energy and what you put out and what you're attracting, all of those things, okay? Your self-awareness is your radar that clues you in to understanding all of those things I just mentioned, okay? It's 90% of your puzzle, guys, okay? You've heard people say to have success and to reach your goals, it's actually 90% mental and 10% action, or whatever. I might even have the percentages off. But the point is, people will tell you that to get your results, it's 90% mental. It's mostly a mental game, okay? The only other percent is the strategy, but it's mostly mental. So this is the largest piece of your puzzle to getting the answers and reaching the results that you want, okay? This is 90% of the force driving your results, is your self-awareness. Okay, your self-awareness, in the very, very beginning of the webinar, I briefly talked about recognition, and this is the simple fact that you were able to recognize a pattern of repetition where, remember that quote in the beginning where the universe will present a problem to you over and over and over again until you resolve it and you're able to recognize that this is an issue, okay? That's part of your self-awareness. It's that aha moment. Self-awareness is what allows you to experience that recognition, that drive that got you to this webinar to start with, okay? It's just so huge because that is your breakthrough. The aha moments are your tiny little breakthroughs or even big breakthroughs. Sometimes your aha moments are huge and sometimes they're tiny, whatever the case may be, okay? Recognition is your breakthrough moment. So think about AA meetings or suicide hotlines, those types of things, okay? Serious things, but they always say that the first step of recovery is admitting first that you have a problem. Recognition, recognizing that you have a problem. You cannot begin to problem solve, establish your goals, have clarity, any of those things, until you are able to recognize that you need to make a change. So this part is huge. And along with your self-awareness is how you begin to understand energy, okay, and all of those things, because it's what enables you to gain clarity. You cannot reach a goal unless you know exactly what it is that you want, and unless you have a specific strategy that's going to get you there. And that's true for all areas of your life. You wonder why it took me 10 years to get out of a toxic marriage? Okay? A lot of that had to do with the part that I first needed to get really, really clear on the type of relationship that I wanted and deserved for myself. Okay? Because once you have that clarity, it puts a certain energy into the universe. And the law of attraction starts to take place. Because what you're putting out there, it's like a mirror, okay? It's what you're going to get back in return. So gaining your clarity and finding your purpose is what gives you the clarity that you need so that you can put the right energy out into the universe. So the law of attraction can work for you and not against you. Okay? And you're going to have these breakthroughs in this energy where you are able to recognize your gut feeling. You'll be able to recognize those energy, and you're going to be able to make those work for you, all just by learning how to become more self-aware. Okay? There's 90% right there, folks. Okay? You ever wonder why things aren't working for you and why everyone always talks about, oh, it's mostly mental? Okay, this right here, being self-aware, is what they're talking about. The ability to tap into all of those things that we just covered. Okay? Second step, we've talked about it several times already, is having a plan. Okay? This is the 10%. This is the 10% of the phrase results are 90% mental and 10% action. Okay? Which also coincides with one of our key concepts. Okay, it's the strategy, because this is very important. Once you have that clarity on what it is you want, your defined definition of the type of relationship you want, the defined definition of the type of marriage you want, the type of relationship you want with your children, the type of career you want, defining exactly what it is you want in those areas of your life. Once you have that clear definition, then you can begin to implement a plan. Okay? You can start to use that 80-20 rule, all right? And learn what 20% of your actions do you actually need to be doing that's going to get you that result. And you'll also begin to learn that the 80% of the stuff that you don't need to be doing, you're going to be able to let that go. I mean, how nice would that be? All right, you have this problem, and you want to resolve the issue, and you've tried so many things and spent so much time working out, how am I going to get what I want? You're working so hard on trying to close that gap. How would you feel if we were able to take 80% of all of that stuff that you've been doing and worrying about? How would you feel if we were able to just get rid of it? If you didn't even have to focus on it, use it, whatever, okay? Because if 20% of your actions is what's actually getting you the results, then you don't need to be doing the other 80%. And isn't that a huge relief? Okay? Another part of the strategy is knowing your result. Okay, I just mentioned that. Having a clear picture of the result that you want, or having a clear picture of your purpose too, because it's very easy to say, I want XYZ, but then there's this other piece of the puzzle where, remember, we can't sit in the garden and meditate the weeds away. We actually have to do stuff, okay? Most people don't do stuff. They sit in their garden and then they bitch about the weeds. And that's all they do. They just sit and they bitch about the damn weeds. And you look at them and you're like, why didn't you just pick the weeds out? Well, because you need to have a reason. You need to have a good, driving, embedded belief in you as to why your goal needs to happen. If you don't have a big enough purpose for that goal to become a reality, you're not going to get off your butt and do the work that you need to do it. And that's just the truth of the situation. And that's, we started this company to help out more people, and the thing of it is that is so hard for me personally to watch and see is that if more people just knew that they needed to have a purpose behind stuff, they would be so much more successful. And I think sometimes that it's rough that people come down on you and they start to tell you that you're lazy and say things like kind of what I just did, like you got to pull out the weeds, you got to get off your butt and do something. A lot of people are so hardcore out there, like being in the military in your face about how you need to get off your butt and go do something. Kind of like I said. But the approach that we're taking in this company that means so much to me is the fact that I got beat up a lot by groups and organizations and being a part of things that I thought were going to help me in my success, and they ended up I feel like I got beat up more than I got help. And that's because no one was teaching me these things that I'm teaching you right now about all three of these key components and about how using them together to define my purpose so that I had a reason to do these things, because I did those things. I did everything everyone told me to do. 10% and above and beyond. I did all of it. And I didn't get anywhere. And I was working so hard, and at the same time everyone was telling me that I didn't want what I wanted bad enough. And I was lazy, and this and that. And that just wasn't true. That wasn't true. I had to go through these steps that I'm covering with you and use all three of the components. I had to understand all three: strategy, the metaphysical, becoming well in mind and body. I had to use all of those things with this strategy here before I was able to truly understand what it is that I wanted and how I was going to get there. Okay? And here's clarity. Clarity, all right? Exactly what we've been stating. Clarity in your goals. Clarity with the specific action that you want to take to get there. Okay? Like basically clarity is it's the opposite of overwhelm. It's when you are able to chip away at those pieces and really define what it is that you want. And then the last part, okay, we've talked so much about the first three, but the last part, and this is just as important as the other three, is investing in yourself. And I don't just mean with money, okay, although you will have to learn to spend some money on yourself. And I know some of you guys are arguing with me right now. You're having a little argument in your head. I can hear you. But no, really, it's okay to do that, and I'm about to tell you why. Investing in your education, and I don't necessarily just mean going to college. I mean, and there's all kinds of things out there for you that I personally have taken advantage of. Remember, I told you that I don't do anything that I in my own life that I would. I mean, if I'm coaching you guys to do it, I'm doing it in my life too, okay? And many times I've invested in education for myself. Like I said, I don't mean like education like pick a degree and go to school, but the education that backs up what your goal is, okay? So if you want a better marriage, invest in education to learn how to have a better marriage. Okay, if you want to learn how to lose weight, invest in the education that supports losing weight. Okay, invest in yourself. Hire a coach or a mentor. I actually do that too. Okay, I made the most progress and had the biggest breakthroughs and did it the quickest when I started hiring a coach. And I still have a coach. And I actually am about to hire a second coach. One coach one coach is specific to one niche and the other is specific to the other niche. And both are pieces that I want better results in. And both are pieces that I have really high goal for myself in those areas. So I invest in coaching. And remember when I said that I was going to show you guys how it's okay to spend money on yourself? Because we know that you can't change other people. You can only change yourself. Change always starts with you. If you want something to change, you have to change yourself first. So understand that you are worth it. You owe it to yourself to make these changes and be a better you. Be the best you can be. Because you know that when you are the best you can be the best for other people. And it causes a ripple effect, a trickle-down effect. When you're the best you, and you're the best for others, and then they are the best them, and then they're the best for others, you can see it just continues to go on down the pipeline. And every day I think about Ray Higdon, and he's a millionaire internet marketer, blogger, and he once said in one of his webinars that you must complete your story so that others can complete theirs. And you know, that is just so true. So very true. Because without that, the legacy stops. And no one grows from that. So if you want to truly start to implement change in your life and for those around you, understand that you're worth it. And thank you for joining today. And I know that we just covered so much stuff. And you're like, okay, I got all 4 of these things that I need to be doing. Now what do I do? It's okay. We're not going to leave you hanging, right? I am going to offer you a personal breakthrough session where you can schedule a time with me and we'll go over all of these things that we just covered in the webinar personally for you. Okay, so we're going to personally get some clarity for you and work with you to create a strategy and how you can use these 4 steps in your own life to have those breakthroughs that you've come here for, okay? And it's really easy to do. I'm going to set it up for you right now, all right? I'm just going to grab this link here, and I'm going to drop this link for you in the messages. And there it is. You click on that link and it will take you to a scheduler. Very easy. You just pick the time and the day that works best for you. And then we will call you at that time. Really easy stuff, okay? Click that link. It will go straight to a calendar. You pick the time and the day that works best for you, and I will personally call you at that time for your breakthrough session. Thank you guys again for joining me today, and I look forward to working with you, and you have a wonderful afternoon.